So maybe you give us a few recommendations about using carbohydrates during practice or during marathon.
Yeah.
And about what do you think about compression during training?
Well, I think I'm not sure about compression during training, but after training, it's definitely useful, and I've seen studies that show that it's useful. During training, some of the best runners in the world do it. I think maybe it works during training. I'm not quite sure. In terms of carbohydrate, I think you don't always want to be taking in carbohydrate during training because I think there are adaptations that occur by becoming depleted, particularly during your long runs. So during some of your long runs, I would recommend not taking in the carbohydrate. Let your body get depleted. That trains the body to burn more fat and also to store more glycogen. During the race, I would definitely take in carbohydrate because that helps to keep you from becoming depleted.
Okay. So you think it will be best for above 10K races to take carbohydrates, or
anything that takes, say, an hour or longer?
Okay. We've seen Gabi Selassie set amazing standard of 2:03:59. We've also seen a set of other talented runners. How much faster do you expect the record to be within the next 5 years or so? And do you have any best about who will it taken down to the 2:02 range?
I know exactly who's going to take it down to 2:02, and it's somebody we've never heard of. Because until the 10K record gets, say, 20 seconds faster, nobody's going to run 2:02.
Okay.
Because there's a standard ratio between the 10K record and the marathon record. Until the 10K record goes down, I don't think anybody can run 2:02.
Okay, that's good sense. Recently, we see more and more research supporting that notion that women athletes respond differently to nutrition, training, and things like this. Do you believe women should train differently than men? Do you, as a coach, train women differently?
So the big advantage that men have is they have higher testosterone levels. That allows them to train harder, and the muscles adapt better, and they also recover more quickly. And the recover more quickly is probably the most important one. So men can handle a higher training volume and somewhat higher intensity. So for women, yeah, I just train them maybe 10-15% less volume than a man. The intensities, really relative to the woman's maximum, aren't that much different. You just proportionally put the relative intensities comparable to what the person's maximum is. But yeah, the total volume for the woman needs to be 10-15% less.
And
I'd have to think more about.
Finally, please tell us the first thing that comes out on your mind regarding to each of these words. Performance-enhancing drugs?
Yeah, performance-enhancing drugs are terrible because so many people are out there working very, very hard. And then when there are a few people taking performance-enhancing drugs, it demotivates everybody else. And also, it also makes people think with a champion, well, is that person really a great champion or not? And so it puts doubt in people's minds. So performance-enhancing drugs are terrible.
Okay. Altitude training.
Altitude training. Altitude training can give an advantage. It can be a boost. But it's also very individual in how the person adapts. And it's very easy to go over the edge. And here you are in Font Romeu, and I think you're very close to the edge because you're training the best you ever have. And you just need to be careful to not get carried away.
Okay. Best place in the world to run a marathon?
3, Rotterdam, Berlin, and Chicago.
Okay. Best place in the world to train?
Well, there are many great places, but I would say New Zealand. We have many great places to train in New Zealand. But of course, I'm sure you have many great places to train in Israel as well.
Okay, that depends on the weather, you know.
Yeah. If you like hot, fantastic.
Best song for Mojo during a workout?
Yeah. It's Black Dog by Led Zeppelin because it's very intense and the treadmill is very boring. So if you ever have to run on the treadmill, Black Dog.
Okay. Toughest workout you've ever done?
Toughest workout was a 40K run I did with another guy Tom Ratcliffe, who was a 2:14 marathoner, who's now a manager for some of the top Kenyan athletes. We did a 40K run 3 or 4 weeks before the Olympic trials in 1984, and we were just flying along. We did it on the Boston Marathon course, and people who saw us out that day said, "Oh, I saw you doing hill sprints on the course." We said, "No, that was a 40K run." I was probably very lucky that I recovered well enough to then do well 3 or 4 weeks later, because it was probably too hard, but it was very tough.
Okay. Alan Webb vs. Nick Willis.
Yeah, well, 2 wonderful 1,500-meter runners. Alan Webb's an American. He was a great runner in high school, a great runner in college. There was always a lot of pressure on Alan. He went on to set the American record in the mile, and he's a wonderful runner. Nick Willis, was he as talented as Alan? I'm not quite sure, but Nick's very talented. Came from New Zealand, developed moderately over many years. Very good student of the event, and he went on to win the silver medal in the Olympics in Beijing in the 1,500 meters. So, yeah, interesting. 2 very talented guys, 2 similar systems, one with a lot of pressure on him, the other one with less pressure, who developed a little bit over many years.
Okay. Greatest, most memorable moment of your career?
Yeah, well, that's easy for me. That was the 1984 U.S. Olympic Marathon Trials. The U.S. was very good in the marathon then. We had 202 guys qualified for the trials, and they had all run under 2:19, right? So quite a good standard. And we had people like Salazar and Bill Rogers and Greg Meyer and people that you've already mentioned. In that race, at halfway, I took off and built up a 30-second lead. And then at 25 miles, Salazar caught me and another guy named John Tuttle. And I just hung on to them as best I could, because I didn't want to lead all that way and then finish 4th. That would be terrible, because the top 3 make the Olympics, and 4th, you might as well be last. Well, with about 400 meters to go, I could see Salazar up ahead, maybe 40 meters. I thought, ooh, I've got a chance at this guy. And so I started to wind up a sprint, and I passed him with about 40 meters to go, beat him, and it was wonderful. Alberto was the world record holder at the time, and I'd raced him before, but I'd never been close enough to even see him finish, let alone to have a chance to beat him. So that was my best day.
Okay.
32 is Pete Pitzinger, who finished first in the Olympic trials 11 weeks ago, and he'll be the first American to come across the line having passed Salazar. 4 laps to go for him.
And the marathon once again humbles all of the favorites, really.
The world could have figured it would be Lopez, Tracy, and Spedding. Big hand for Pitzinger, Pete Pitzinger, crossing the finish line from West Newton, Massachusetts.
And I think that's a reflection of the atmosphere the athletes have to live under with the Olympic Games. That village is like to be painted as an idealistic place where people of all nations come together, but they do all come together and get nervous together.
What do you think about in January, 6th of January, we have the National Marathon in Israel? What do you think about it? Maybe we'll see you there?
Well, I'd love to come. I would love to come. I need to get this toe fixed so I can do it. So maybe not 6th of January this year, but hopefully the next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are some other things that you would like to share with us, some tips or something to the Israeli runners?
I'd just like to say shalom to all the Israeli runners, and to thank you, Nir, for the interview. It's been great getting to know you, and good luck in the Berlin Marathon.
I would like to thank you very much for your time. It's very interesting to hear you talking, and it's very interesting to sit in you and just share all your thought and knowledge about the marathon, about running. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.